G'day everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's Turbo Tristan here, and what you're about to see and what you would have seen in the thumbnail is our brand new project car. Yes, we are taking two cars and making one car. We are doing a full resto mod. That means all the engine, drivetrain, as much of the electronics as we can. We're doing a brake upgrade and just modernize this thing, make it safer, way faster, like 10 times faster, and giving it the full treatment. So let's take a look at what we're working with. So what you're looking at here is a 1989 Honda Civic ED hatchback. Now this one is automatic, so we're gonna need to do a manual conversion on it. And as you can see, the car is super clean and super tidy. And what you're seeing now is the donor car. This is a 2007 Honda Civic FN2 Type R, and it's a 6-speed manual. Honestly, there was pretty much nothing wrong with it, except it was a high K, high roller. So I've got to get to work on parting this thing out so we can use all the goodies for the Resto mod into the ED Civic. The ED Civic's engine is a 1.5 litre dual carb, so we've got to do a full EFI conversion, and it's 100% standard. The FN2, on the other hand, is also 100% standard, but it has over 300,000 kilometers on the clock. With over double the horsepower, I can't wait to dive into it. So here we are, this is what's under the hood. This is what I was just talking about. The D15 dual carb, stock as a rock. Absolutely nothing wrong with this engine and drivetrain package, except it's slow as heck. The first thing I'm gonna have to do is remove all of this. So we're gonna take out everything out of the engine bay. We're going to do a full brake upgrade. We're going to try and get rid of all these wires and hoses and crap everywhere. And we have a ton of mods for this thing. So you name it, it's going into this build. I have all of the parts already, and we're going to do a manual conversion. We're going to do a hydro clutch conversion. It's going to be insane. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, because this is going to be a crazy, crazy build. I can't wait to dive into it. So what I'm going to do first is just try and drain all the fluids, make sure there's no mess, clear everything out, try and drop the engine tonight, and then we can get into removing all the rest of the stuff carefully. We don't want to break anything. And just like that, the engine is out. Dirty dual carb, out you go. We have a very messy engine bay. This has not been touched in 30 odd years. So this is going to get a full scrub. We're going to clean all this up. We've got to take out a mount there, get rid of all of this stuff off the firewall, relocate the brakes, all that sort of stuff. Now let's whip over to the FN2 Type R and pull the donor engine out of that car. A few weeks have passed, and this is what we are left with. The front's cut off, half this stuff's missing. We've also got rid of the guards, the bonnet, rear door's gone, the dash is gone, the car's been totally pilfered. I've had to borrow some wheels off Rhonda so I can roll it around, because we sold the Type R wheels. And now I'm going to have to get this engine out of here so I can get ready to clean it all up, replace the clutch, give the car a full major service. All gaskets, all seals, chain, belts, everything's all going to get changed here. So I've got to get all this out, pull out all the wiring, all the pedals, all the shifter, all the cables, all the stuff we're going to use, the drive shafts, all that sort of stuff. Pull out the brakes. Get this back to a roller, get it outside so we can get the truck to take this scrap pile away. Now you see it, now you don't. Here is the engine. It's absolutely covered in grease. I've never seen a K-Series with this much grease and grime all over it. The whole thing is greasy and grimy. It looks like someone went to fill up the oil and just spilt oil all the way down the front of the engine, and it's run down here everywhere. There's no other way I can explain it to be leaking that much oil. The engine had oil in it. I can't see any fresh signs of any oil. It hasn't been weeping or leaking or anything like that. Funnily enough, the gear oil was absolutely brand new and perfect. I wish I didn't drain it out, but I did. So we're going to change it anyway. It's just good practice. While this is all sealed up, I'm going to degrease the absolute crap out of it because I hate working on dirty cars, dirty engines. They're a no-no in my shop. My shop's dirty enough as it is, so I've got to keep that to a minimum. With the loom, there is a body loom that runs down this side of the car to the headlights and the ABS. There is another loom that runs down this side of the car to the battery, the ECU, and the engine loom. I have marked everything I can on every plug, so that is all sweet. And it actually feeds through one single grommet here on the firewall. So I'm going to pull that from the inside out. I've already undone all the cable ties and everything that holds it tucked up there out of the road, so that's ready to come out. And yeah, once we get that out and the cables out and the shifter, and I'm going to pull out the pedals and the lock for the steering column, all the stuff to do with the immobilizer and any buttons and stuff like that we need. We're going to put as much of this FN2 as we can into the ED Civic. Hopefully this is going to be a really, really cool build. Unfortunately, I can't just use this electric power steering. I wish I could. We're probably going to go with an Astra pump. I'm not really sure. As you'll see up there, there is no more loom in the car. All of the loom is down here. I've plugged everything back in to where it came from. So that's the body loom and the first part of the engine loom and all the interior loom. Over here we've got the actual engine loom section and the ECU, all the coil packs, everything like that. Starter, alternator, all of these sensors and everything are on the engine. I've given it a pressure wash and this car is served its purpose. We had a perfectly good Type R that just needed a clutch and a major service, and now we have an empty carcass of a car. One cool thing though that I think is worth pointing out for those of you that don't know is the reason why the exhaust runs around the side of the car is because all underneath here, so the lowest point of the car, the center of gravity is right in the middle, and it is low down and the fuel tank is underneath here. So this section here under the driver's seat and in the tunnel is a fuel tank, and you've got the fuel filler over here, comes down and runs all the way down there to a fuel tank, which is pretty cool, I reckon, having a fuel tank in the middle of the car. This is off to the scrap heap now, and then it's on to building and servicing this engine with all new fresh parts, and then pulling the old one out and getting ready for this to go in there. Well, now we've got the engine out of both cars. The next thing to do is prep the engine bay in the ED to accept the K-swap. The owner of this car wants to keep AC, so we're just going to keep this in here and we're going to keep this here. But yeah, clean up all of this, get rid of all these lines here. They've all got to go. We won't be needing this. This is going out, this is going out. We're removing the entire braking system from this car and just cleaning everything up. Then I've got to get my spot weld drill and drill out all of the spot welds and remove this mount here. And from there, we're going to clean up this engine bay and get it ready for paint. We do need to relocate the prop valve, so we'll get some custom lines made up for that. We'll move that somewhere else out of the way, over here somewhere, or maybe down the back here where this used to be. So now you know the plan. We'll get that done and then we'll show you what it looks like along the way. This is not a how-to, it's not a step-by-step. This is me vlogging this excellent, really cool build. I've got so many parts. Those shelves there are all full of parts to go on this car or in this car. We're going to get to that very soon. I'll show you all the parts. Anything that's new and exciting and fresh, I'll show you all of that stuff. Well, it's a couple days later, but we have, the engine is out. The mounts are all in. They're just dummied in for now. I got bored and wanted to see what they look like and see what sort of space they have. This one needs to be welded in. These are from Hasport. These are the genuine, real deal Hasport billet mounts. How sexy are those? There's some extra bracketry and nuts and bolts and things to go in as well, but that makes this a bolt-in affair. I did have to remove the factory mount just here, and I've done some grinding with the flapper wheel and just gotten rid of all that, and I used my spot weld drill bit just to get those bits drilled out. Off camera, I'm gonna undo these brake lines and bend them out of the road, just move everything down and away, because that's right where the engine's going to sit. It's going to be very, very close there to touching that. So it's going to move that back and tuck it out of the road and replace the brake booster and master while I'm there. But the last thing I want to show you over here is the fuel system. Now, I was able to order this fuel tank brand new from the UK and have it shipped here to Australia for around about $700, including shipping all the way over here, and it's brand new. It has inside it the little bowl for the fuel pump to sit in, so it's got its own swirl pot, all the lines and everything, all the mounts and brackets, and it even came with a fresh ring here and an O-ring seal. So this is the old one that goes underneath the fuel level sender. So I was able to put that back in, clicked it in perfectly. We got an extra one of these washers or rubber grommets and some copper washers for the fuel pump. I also bought a brand new OEM replacement, fresh brand new fuel pump hanger with all the wiring. Comes with the complete wiring loom all the way back to the factory spot in the car. Now, being that this car was a carby car and never had the EFI module and stuff in there, I highly, highly doubt there's going to be a plug that this plugs into. But we've got plenty of cable here to run this back to the new ECU, which we're going to change things over to. There has been some changes since I last picked up the camera, and we're no longer going to use the factory setup from this. We're going full standalone. More about that later on. I grabbed this fuel tank. I put a couple of spool up stickers on there, just so in the future, in another 20 or 30 years, if anyone ever has to pull this out, they'll see this and go, what does that mean? What does this mean? Google it. Hopefully spool up is super famous and super popular and doing really, really well in that time. But if not, they'll be able to check out and see this build on YouTube, which is awesome. So just a little Easter egg that I hid under the fuel tank there. And I've also gone ahead and upgraded the fuel pump. Now, it did come with a fuel pump in there, but this would be to suit a factory D16ZC. And because we're going a standalone computer and because we're going a K-swap, we do need more fuel pressure. Although the factory sort of pump will sort of work. I've seen people do it. To me, it's not worth putting a low volume pump in just in case you have a lean out issue or the stops working. Also, it's not a genuine pump, so it could be a China pump or something and it could just fail. So we've gone with a genuine RACEWORKS fuel pump, and that is the EFP501. It's a 340 litre per hour fuel pump. Now that is overkill for this, but it all plugs in. It's got the same connectors and everything as factory, so there's no wiring involved, just plug and play. Put a hose clamp on the bottom, use that hose, and it's good to go. So that's why I'm running that. And this is gonna have an insane power to weight ratio. This standalone ECU, bigger throttle body, bigger exhaust, fuel pump, all that sort of stuff, and tuned, custom tuned. It's gonna be crazy. So stick around for the next video in this series where we look at putting the engines back in the car. We do some wiring, we do some fuel system stuff, we do some custom exhaust work, brake work, suspension work, and we get this thing dialed as a super sweet street sleeper cruiser and possible race car. Catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to spool up, bring the boost, and we'll see you in the next video. Cheers.